Or when a mother gives birth, if she was looking forward to the child, at that moment that she's experiencing the child, she's in love. Totally in love with the child. And no matter how much pain she had to go through to give birth, at that moment it just falls away. Because she's egoless at that moment. You see, at that moment of birth. But what happens is, we recall it and say, oh, I fell in love. Oh, I gave birth. And we lose it again. Because we make it personal. You see? So the whole point of the soul is to keep recognizing that there is no one who experiences. There's just pure experience. You see? And that pure experience is total. Just like when you're loving, you don't really love someone in reality. There's love. Period. You see? You feel the heart feeling that love, and the other person feels that love, and the room is filled with love. At that moment, there's just love. So the point is, but the moment we make it personal and we start to own it, then the ego takes over control again. You see? I want to own it. This is mine. I hope it will last. I hope I don't lose it. And then before you know it, things start going haywire. Okay? And during all this, during the interim of these experiences, the soul is learning. The spirit doesn't learn. Okay? The spirit doesn't learn. The spirit is the love itself. Okay? So therefore, most people, when they come to satsang, they say, oh, I'm going to learn something. No, you're not here to learn anything. You're here to awaken to your true nature. Learning is only done by the soul. Spirit is not learned. Spirit does not hold any information. That's why there are hardly any books written about it, unless it's Advaita Vedanta, which is the only form that I know that actually can talk about spirit. But then what they say about it, you cannot define it, you cannot explain it, you cannot see it. So we go into that. But in soul, you can talk about it, you can fill up volumes. You see? Because it takes care of all evolution, all memory, all process that you go through. But the process of growth of the soul is really a misnomer, because nothing actually happens. Okay, let me give you an example. There's a ladder, okay? L-A-D-D-E-R, in case my accent makes it feel like lather. Okay, there's a ladder. And but it's very tall. You don't see the top. You don't see anything. So you start from the bottom, and you start climbing, you see? And as you climb, there's a process of climbing, right? And then you're at the top. And you cannot say, well, I've achieved the ladder. It was always there, even when you were at the bottom. But because it was so tall, you didn't see it. So it took that process in order for you to reach the top. When you reach the top, you realize nothing actually happened. It was always there. Okay? So this is what happens between soul and spirit. Soul feels that it's always evolving, always moving, going through a process. See? But when you finally wake up to the spirit, you realize the spirit has always been perfect, always been there. Always, that very love that we've always wanted. It is our true fundamental nature. It is. I don't know whether we understand. You know, one beautiful thing that I read about the Course that I loved so much is when it said, God is. And that said it all. I had my first little glimpse when I read those words, actually. God is. See, which is so powerful. So your question, I know I'm belaboring the point here, but it's very important, the question that you've asked. Is the watcher the soul? And no, the watcher is spirit. Okay? It's the highest that you can be, but there is no limit to that height. Because it is everything. Everything that appears arises from spirit, from the watcher, from that seeing. Everything arises from that. And we can say with words that watcher is that aware space. Right now, you're watching. Are you conscious of you? It's just like being without a head, isn't it? You're looking at the whole group. And you see everyone, but you don't see yourself. It's just like being without a head. So that's when you become aware that watching, this aware space, that's your fundamental nature. But the mind comes in and says, oh, I'm aware of this, I'm aware of that, I like this person, I don't like this person, oh, I should be like this, or no, I shouldn't be like that. That's all mind. And that's what confounds, you see, our aware space. Our space has no judgment, has no mental activity in it at all. Now, some people might say, but therefore I should quiet my mind then. I should stop my mind from thinking. What do you think? Should we stop our minds from thinking so much?
Good luck.
Hmm?
Good luck.
Thank you. It can be done. So what do you do then?
A baby.
Was that?
A baby that just comes into the world. What state of consciousness is it in?
Pure consciousness, but it's not aware of itself yet. It doesn't have the ability to recognize as yet. So it still has to grow into teenagehood, develop ego, etc., and go to those stages. You see? Thank you, Brent. Yeah. So a child, that's beautiful, that statement, because a child is a perfect example of our fundamental nature in the first year or two. By the time they're 3 years, they begin to develop an ego. This is mine. I am Mary. I am John. You see, that doesn't mean, that's all part of the conditioning. But they identify with limitation, you see. And then the ego starts building from there. But in that initial birth, they're very pure, yes. But they need to go through the process, quote, their soul has to unfold to come to that point to recognize and say, I've had enough with suffering, I've had enough with this. There's got to be something better. Who am I? What am I? And then, if they find a teacher or a book or something that can lead them back, or an experience might happen in which they have a glimpse, you see, it can lead them back to the nature of who they are. So, but very...
They're never realized then as little babies.
No, they're not realized because they don't have the capacity yet to realize. Yeah. But they're pure, just like a kitten is pure, a puppy is pure. They're very, very pure. The consciousness is pure love at that moment, you see. But they don't have the ability to recognize. A child grows up, meets the world, and then because of duality is able to recognize. It is only true duality means me and memory, me and my life. You see? That's how Eckhart Tolle, incidentally, you've heard of Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now? That's how Eckhart Tolle woke up. He woke up, he went through a lot of depression in his life. He was very unhappy man. And one day he said, I can't live with myself anymore. And then he realized, I can't live with myself anymore. Are there two of me? And that stopped him. But of course it's a form of grace too, and he's been, you know. And that was grace, and it changed. And the next day the birds were singing, and he felt so good. And he spent 10 years or so, something like that, sitting on a bench, doing nothing in bliss, you know, because he had recognized through that there aren't two. Jesus said in St. Thomas' Gospel, he said, when two become one, you're in the kingdom of heaven. You see? So we have to bring everything to one. There isn't an experiencer and an experience. There's only experience. There isn't you being a lover and love. There's only love. And when we begin to see this, all selfishness drops, all ego drops. And even our own needs drop because we become fulfilled.